Work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers a list of dates annually indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2014. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by Councilman Ted Chase.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May those assembled here today enjoy the many offerings of our township. May we abide by the rules we have established, those of trust, fellowship, and ethics. And may we place service above self in our daily endeavors. And may we always test ourselves and our efforts to be sure they are the truth, good for all concerned, of benefit to mankind, and provide peace and understanding. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please take the roll of the council.
Councilman Chase.
Here.
Councilwoman Francois. Here. Councilman Kramer.
Here.
Mayor Levine.
Here.
Councilman Prasad. Deputy Mayor Regan.
Here.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Here.
Councilman Vasanella.
Here.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, we have a quorum. We're following along on our agenda, which are here by our clerk, Ms. Woodbury, along with associated resolutions and ordinances. We're now at item number 5, commendations and proclamations. And I'm not sure there's anyone to receive any of these, so I guess we could want to read them up here. So,
Mayor, the representatives from the Sierra Leone community are here, but
oh, they are? Oh,
that's the last one on the list, so if the other two you want to read them
let's
up
go
here.
down to the podium. And I'll ask for Arbor Day, perhaps Councilman Chase wants to join me. He's the environmental person. And Day of Remembrance with Councilman Kramer, and then Councilman Vasanella.
I'm wondering if there's no one here from the Shade Tree Commission?
I thought Chris was going to be here. That's what Carl told me.
Maybe we should.
Well, Mike's gone. Chris Williams is the chair now.
You want to wait, Ted?
Want to hold it till next?
Well, maybe we should do the Sierra Leone proclamation.
Oh, you mean to see if they're coming? Whatever you prefer.
Just in case Chris is
This will probably
5
be
minutes later. I'm sure they would like
That's
that.
fine. Does Phil want to read
Yeah,
his?
maybe he'll do it. Okay. Councilman Kramer, do you want to do yours?
The mayor was kind enough to ask me to read this. Franklin Township, Somerset County Mayor and Township Council Proclamation. Whereas the Holocaust was the state-sponsored systematic persecution and annihilation of European Jewry by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945, 6 million were murdered. Romanian gypsies, people with disabilities, and Poles were targeted for destruction, for discrimination, for racial, ethnic, or national reasons, and millions more, including homosexuals, Jehovah's Witnesses, Soviet prisoners of wars, war and political dissidents also suffered grievously and were put to death under Nazi tyranny. And whereas the history of the Holocaust offers an opportunity to reflect on the moral responsibilities of individuals, societies, and governments, and whereas the people of the Township of Franklin should always remember the terrible events of the Holocaust and remain vigilant against hatred, prosecution, and tyranny, and whereas the people of the Township of Franklin should actively rededicate ourselves to the principles of individual freedom in a just society, and whereas the days of remembrance have been set aside for the people of the Township of Franklin to remember the victims of the Holocaust, as well as to reflect on the need for respect and respect of all people, and whereas pursuant to an act of Congress on October 7, 1980, the United States Holocaust Memorial Council designated the days of remembrance of the victims of the Holocaust to be Sunday, April 27th through Sunday, May 4th, 2014, including the Day of Remembrance known as Yom HaShem, April 28th, 2014. Therefore, I, Philip Kramer, along with Brian Levine, Mayor, and on behalf of the Township Council, do hereby proclaim the week of Sunday, April 27th through Sunday, May 4th, 2014, as days of remembrance in the memory of the victims of Holocaust, in honor of the survivors as well as the rescuers and liberators, and further proclaim that we as the citizens of Township of Franklin shall work to promote human dignity and comfort and confront hate whenever and wherever it occurs. Thank you for allowing me to read this, Mayor.
No. For executive session.
Oh, maybe she'll accept it.
She's slightly underdressed.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The 6th of May.
Okay,
My nerves.
well, we have another proclamation, and appreciate that last one being read, and a very important issue. And this obviously is something more cheerful and festive. This is about the independence of Sierra Leone, West African nation that is small in size and big in heart, seriously. And they had achieved their independence 53 years ago, and it's a proclamation I'll be reading to acknowledge that, and a representative from the community would like to say a couple words. Whereas the 53rd anniversary of the independence of the Republic of Sierra Leone, West Africa, will be celebrated by citizens and friends of Sierra Leone and communities all over the world on April 27th, 2014. And whereas many local Sierra Leonean organizations and individuals are dedicated to the principles of civic, economic, and educational programs within the Township of Franklin, and are dedicated to encouraging reflection on the rich history and teachings of African Americans and bearing witness to the progress, beauty, and achievements they have made throughout our community. And whereas the Mayor and the Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, New Jersey, and all the citizens of the township wish to acknowledge and acclaim the contributions of our Sierra Leone community to the life of our community. Now, therefore, I, Councilman James Vasanella, on behalf of Mayor Brian D. Levine and the entire Township Council of Franklin, County of Somerset, New Jersey, Somerset County, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim Sierra Leone Day, April 27, 2014, in the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, in the U.S. of A. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to have a representative just say a few words. The last couple of years, by the way, they did a fantastic parade, I think 3 years running. Fantastic parade. Just probably the largest we actually have in Franklin, or one of the largest, going down Hamilton Street. This year it's a little less activity, but nonetheless as important of a celebration. So I'll let them take over.
Thank you very much. Mayor Levin, Councilman Vasilina, the entire Franklin Township. On behalf of the Sierra Leone community, we feel very proud. We appreciate it. We are really privileged to be in this township. And as I listen to the proclamation being read, we'll try to fit it in the most possible means in terms of participation and representation in the future. On that note, I will not belabor the point. We have a cross-section of our community here. All these are community leaders from various ethnic groups and organizations. So I will call a young, vibrant lady who was here, spent most of his time here, has accomplished so much but young, Madam Jenny Mustafa, to say a few words about this on this proclamation. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jenna Mustafa. I've been a resident, born and raised in Franklin Township for almost 30 years. Okay, sorry. I've been a resident, born and raised here almost 30 years, and I'd like to say thank you for recognizing our Sierra Leonean community. And the annual proclamation, April 27th, it really means a lot to, see that my community as Franklin and my community, my Sierra Leonean community, recognized in that way, and to be part of it in both aspects. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I know there's a lot going on in the meeting here. Mr. Lamina Razim, I don't know if you want to come up. If not, I would like you to be up here, please. Yes. We feel very proud, and we're part of Franklin. And I don't want to say much, but he will close it for us.
Well, I'm just going to extend my sincere thanks. We always appreciate it. As Mr. Vasanella said, unfortunately, we're not having the parade this year due to our budget and other circumstances, so we deferred it for maybe another 2 more years or so. Is it?
Next year.
Next year. So as we're all here, we want to thank you again for recognizing us in this township, and we are giving us our contributions. As Jenny already said, we've been here over 30 years, and we do participate in all the civic activities in the community. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think Franklin has one of the largest Sierra Leone communities in the United States, don't we? And the mayor of Freetown was right here in these council chambers and came to visit us also. And last couple of years, I think it was Councilman Vasinell and I went running after one of your floats and hopped on during the parade. Hitched a ride because we were too lazy to walk on our own. But thanks a lot, and I look forward to it next time. Thanks.
Did Ted want to do that, or
That's a good idea.
do you want to do that? Sure.
Whereas the Township of Franklin recognizes the value of preserving and maintaining the community forest, whereas trees conserve energy, promote a healthy environment, add value to our homes, and enhance the appearance of neighborhoods, parks, and communities. And whereas the Township of Franklin has recognized the value of trees by creating a Shade Tree Commission to promote tree conservation and planting and caring for trees on public property throughout the township. And whereas National Arbor Day on April 25th, 2014 is celebrated by communities nationwide as a time to promote the benefit of trees, and whereas in recognition and celebration of Arbor Day 2014, the Franklin Township Shade Tree Commission holds an annual tree sale as well as plants trees in the township. In 2014, the Commission will plant a mix of Eastern Redbud, Sweet Bay Magnolia, October Glory Red Maple, and Green Vase Zelkova trees at the Pine Grove and Franklin Park Elementary Schools and in the Memorial Forest open space. Now therefore, I, Councilman Theodore Chase, and Mayor Brian D. Levine, on behalf of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, and State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim Friday, the 25th day of April 2014 as Arbor Day in the Township of Franklin, Somerset County, and do hereby encourage all residents to plant, conserve, and care for trees throughout Franklin Township. After all, we can't do the proclamation after that.
No.
Because he didn't show up?
No, I'm frustrated at what I'm looking at that you got in your email today that doesn't have something that I said that it should have. It frustrates me.
Something I got.
Okay, we're following along on our agenda. You can get them by our clerk, Ms. Woodbury, along with associated resolutions and ordinances. Feel free to get up at any time and do that. Or if you're, want to hear anything that's going on, fine. If you're done, that's okay too. We're now at item number 6, which is the mayor's report.
I had those two
Yeah.
people. I walked over and said, are we invaded? Have we been invaded?
Yeah, you're certainly invited. Don't feel like you have to watch this part, okay? So, my pseudo mug today, which is extremely hard to see, has a very light logo on it from the state of New Jersey. I got that when I was at Drumthwacket, which is the governor's official residence.
For the installation.
And he had a town hall meeting here in Franklin at the Armory this past week. And we, the town, helped him in the logistics of that. I was in contact with the governor's office. They've got a good crew there, and just equal time whenever Governor John Corzine was in town. I always attended his events also. Councilman Chase was there and even asked the governor a question. So our meetings are generally the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. Exceptions are July, August, and December, when we only have them on the second Tuesday. And there will be an exception in June. Is that official yet? Okay.
It will be
Or do we have to vote on that?
when you vote on the consent agenda.
Okay, it's on the consent. If it passes on the consent agenda, we will not have a meeting on the second Tuesday in June, which is the 10th. We'll have it the prior Thursday, which is the 5th. Because it's been bantered about a lot about Hamilton Street, that will be discussed at this meeting under old business boards and commission vacancies. Number 18, just a foreshadow. Even though tax day has come and gone, people are allowed to apply still for a little while for their property tax freeze. If someone is senior, income below certain limits, et cetera, they can apply to have their, in essence, property taxes frozen at a certain area. Consult the instructions. And we still haven't finalized our budget in town. Next meeting, probably it will come up for a final vote. Anything on your minds, we are glad to hear about that. We had one vote. We're going to go to the second one. Give us your opinions. We're fortunate to have, as a neighbor, Rutgers University, in my opinion. This Saturday, as we have this meeting, they have Rutgers Day, which is full of food, music, crafts, and even over at the former Cook College, of which Councilman Chase was a professor, they even have cockroach races. So those are interesting to see, too. So that's a good family day for everybody. In addition to good old Rutgers, I look forward to when they enter the Big Ten, which is coming up, that they will have a positive impact financially on our town. Their football games and events do already. Hopefully we can bring that to even a higher level. The New Jersey Conference of Mayors, their annual events coming up in a couple weeks. I think it's next week. I better check. I intend to be there. I'm newly on the board of directors, so I better find out pretty quickly. So I'll speak to colleagues and also intend to speak to members of the governor's cabinet on various issues. Anything on your mind first, please forward that to me. So for today, as mentioned, Happy Earth Day, Happy Mother's Day. I don't think that's coming up before our next meeting also. We have a lot of information on our website where you can see what's happening in town. It's constantly updated. You can sign up for email updates and you'll be told anything that changes, all things around town. It's very good, very informative. As I say, for some information, some fun, I have my mayor Facebook page and Twitter. You can take a look at that too. And all of us invite you to contact any of us with anything on your mind, unless you even have phone numbers up here. And that's the mayor's report. So next we go to item number 7, the deputy mayor's report from Deputy Mayor Brian Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, by chance, did you actually go to Rutgers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
But
Okay.
coincidentally.
Oh, coincidentally, yeah, okay.
Wow, I almost forgot.
Yeah, almost. Okay. And I'm sure they're going to do well in the Big Ten football program. Sorry, just a coughing Big Ten.
I'm sorry, did you mention basketball?
I wasn't even going to mention basketball. Okay, so as the mayor mentioned on the agenda tonight, there will be a couple items regarding the Hamilton Street business community, the SID. One is an ordinance. You may recall a few weeks ago, or a few meetings ago, I should say, we adopted that ordinance. However, in the adoption of that ordinance, we left off terms. So that really is the only change tonight to the ordinance, is the addition of terms of those who serve on the advisory board. It will be initially a rolling term, because we're going to start with 12 members, and we don't want everybody to get on at the same time and get off at the same time, so there'll be a set of 3-year terms, 2-year terms, and 1-year terms. So that will be important. And then, as later on in the meeting, we'll actually talk about appointments to the advisory board tonight. One item that I found interesting is the Meadows Foundation is going to be celebrating spring, and on Saturday, April 26th, this coming Saturday, from 2 to 4 at the Van Loos Sudam House on South Middlebush Road, near the Claremont Road traffic light. They're going to have a ready to shed those winter blues and welcome spring. And they're going to have a bunch of teas, so if you're into drinking tea, it's a place to be. There'll be other desserts. It's for $30. It's a very good organization here in town, and should be very entertaining. And they're going to have a guest speaker who will be doing a hilarious talk entitled, "Who Will Wash the Dishes?" I just know I won't be washing the dishes that day. So if you have time, get out. You know, a lot of times here in our lives, we get so busy, we don't actually get time to take advantage of where we are in town, and the beautiful scenery, the environment, the trails, and people, an organization who takes care of historical homes here in town. So, you know, there are a lot of, like, you know, where I grew up in Jersey City, there weren't many trails and there weren't many historical homes that you could go and visit. So, you know, here in Franklin, we're really blessed with those type of opportunities. And I know we all live very busy lives these days in 2014, but if you can make time to enjoy the moment for yourself, this is certainly an opportunity that will be well worth it. At that, I will conclude my deputy mayor's report and turn it back to the mayor.
Thank you. We're now at number 8 on the agenda, public discussion. This is where you can speak, tell us anything that is on your mind, and we're glad to hear about that. And as is our policy, everyone comes up. Let me back up. There'll be a time later on in the meeting where you could speak on a couple specific ordinances, but it would be limited to those particular ordinances. So this is time to speak of anything of a general nature. And as is our policy, we ask you to limit your time to 5 minutes, and we have a timer, so when you hear a tone go off, that means 3 minutes has elapsed, and when multiple tones go off, that means your 5 minutes is up, and I'm going to ask you to wrap up your thoughts if you're still going. Please let us know what's on your mind. You can ask us questions, let us know what you want us to know. And also, please direct all of your comments to the council. We are being audio and videotaped for our cable TV. And when you come up, please keep yourself about 3 or 4 inches from the microphone. That way we hear you completely, and the audio picks it up properly. And also, as is our policy, people can come up once per meeting. So, is there a motion to open the meeting for public discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on any item of interest, which does not have a public hearing of its own. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand. When I recognize you, come to the podium and give us your name and address, please. Sergeant Avias. Vilas. Yes, come. And come up here.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor Levine, distinguished council. Me and my wife have moved into Franklin in 2011. I was deployed 2012, so I only have 2 years living here. When we moved in 2011, Honorable Mayor Levine is the one that married us. And what really made it touching was that he actually had some nice words to say after the marriage, where it felt like a commercial thing, where you're married, get out. Well, it's the honest truth.
Yeah.
When I was in Afghanistan, we were doing stuff for certain people that we had, to think about where they done nice stuff, something nice for us. And me and my wife here, what I did was I had a plaque made out to him. And just so you understand that these are the coins that we have distinguished that is Afghanistan. This flag here was actually flown on the Air Force plane. And so it's actually been flown in combat. And it's addressed to Mayor Levine, and we appreciate everything that he did for us. Sometimes a kind word goes a long way.
That's right.
And a lot of people forget to do that, and I appreciate what he did for us. I'd like to
nice.
present this.
Going down and get it. Going down and get it.
702 Expeditionary Airlift Squadron, Kandahar Airfield, Afghanistan. This is to certify that the accompanying American flag was flown in honor across the sky in Afghanistan aboard a C-27 Spartan aircraft on 17 June 2012. It is a final combat mission support of our Operation Enduring Freedom, presented to Mayor Brian D. Levine.
Taking the picture, so I wanted to make sure he got the picture. You got it? Okay, he got your picture. There you go.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Right, I'm looking up at C-27.
I am so touched. No one ever got me. I did before, really. Didn't expect that. Oh, my. It'll be an honored place for as long as I'm around, and I have faculties enough to keep looking at it. I guarantee it. Thank you. I didn't exceed their 5 minutes. My, again, thanks so much. Oh, my. Anyone else wish to speak in the public? Commissioner Brown? Oh, no? Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry, thought I saw your, I moved my way. The chairman of the board of our Fire District Number 1 Commissioners.
Nodded his head.
Okay, yes.
What's that? You nodded your head. I nodded the head. I did the handshake, nodded the head. Good evening, Mayor Levine, council members, and distinguished guests. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight during your public session. As you may recognize me, I tend to wear many hats around the township, from the chairman of the board for Franklin Fire District Number 1, to fire prevention board member, to a firefighter, to the District 1 GIS coordinator position, as a taxpayer, as well as a GIS professional myself, etc. Tonight, I am here just as Todd Brown, who values the importance of GIS. If all of you aren't aware, GIS is Geographic Information Systems. Essentially, it's a bunch of layers or graphical information that is put on a map. It's a system that can be used from every industry, from fire, police, sewer, water. It just keeps going on and on and on. Ironically, today is Earth Day, and GIS loves Earth Day because we love to map the Earth. So it's just ironic I'm here tonight. GIS is especially important to the fire service. As you can see, I brought in one of our tough books. Currently, in 2 trucks in every station in our district, we have tough books, of which they have our GIS system on it, and we're able to leverage the township data as well as the fire prevention data. How this is important to us? As volunteer service here in Franklin Township, we have all different types of crews that come to every call at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. When you come to a large building, the first thing you need to find is the fire alarm panel. And how many times is it tough to find in a large building such as 300 Davidson Avenue, the old MetLife building? It takes at least 5 to 7 minutes just to find the fire alarm panel because you have a different crew on every time. With this system, and with all the floor plans for a lot of the buildings in our town, we're able to pinpoint that en route, as well as routing our trucks and where to go. Soon enough in our system, we'll be able to track other trucks, so that as the chief arrives and is doing a 360 of an assessment around a building, they're able to figure out what truck is coming first, from the ladder truck, to the tower truck, to the hazmat truck, to the rescue, to the engine, and to the pumpers. Of each have an importance feature to our fire service. Knowing where to place them is always number one key, as well as the fire department connection. Currently, right now, the GIS system for the town is no longer being updated. As you know, the town is only growing. Just to keep up with it, I've personally taken a GIS tracker and actually started mapping additional address points and streets, such as at Pierce and Cedar Grove Lane, the new community there. That was not part of our GIS system we have in our trucks, of which we are constantly getting more and more calls to throughout the town. Being able to assess as well as keep up with the town and its needs is very important to all firefighters, to fire officers, to the chiefs, as well as to yourselves. With this said, I understand that there is a GIS part-time position that's in your budget coming up, of which I would like the opportunity to voice my support. As Todd Brown, I am not representing the board, just for official purposes. In regards to the multifaceted resource this GIS professional can be to the town, to the sewer department, to the water department, tracking your block and lots, your address points, your entire inventory of your town geographically, to your police department, to your fire department, to disaster preparation, to OEMs, as well as your current inspections throughout town. I invite each and every one of you to explore how GIS is used today. If anything, you can stop afterwards. I have the tough book here with the full system running, as well as on each one of our trucks. If you see any of the District 1 trucks, feel free to stop them on the way back from a call. Hopefully not on the way to a call. But after a call, feel free to stop them and ask them about it. Each and every one of them love the system. They're actually begging for updates, of which we're working on a huge update at this time. So with that said, I'm hoping I'm beating the 5 minutes, and I'll answer any questions if you have any. If not, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah, excuse me, hi.
Yes, hey.
Is it possible for the fire department, you're doing some updating. Can we get some volunteer fire department time to help update it, or is the training curve too high? I don't know the policies, I don't know I've looked at GIS, actually, we can look at it, sure. Council members can look at it just over the web, or at least some layer of it,
right.
But I don't know anything about the updating of it, so.
It's not rocket scientist work. I would love to say that we do have volunteer in our district as well as throughout the town, because all 4 fire districts have GIS in their trucks in their districts. Unfortunately, our resources are being spread thinner and thinner as the calls continue to grow. Right now, I'm a member of Somerset Fire and Rescue off of Hollywood, and we're up to 1,000 calls a year, from vehicle extrication to, fire. I wish there was. If there were, definitely we'd be tapping into that. I think it might be an opportunity with possibly this part-time position, we'd be able to work hand in hand and share data back and forth, of which would be alleviate a lot of the tension or the workload.
Okay. By the way, your fire district or your fire department is near and dear to me because you're the ones who pulled me out of a flipped Subaru 12 years ago. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? Anything?
Mayor, I don't know.
Mayor, upon seeing no one further coming up for comments, I make a motion to close the public session.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Okay, public discussion is closed for this meeting. Thank you. We next come to council comments. So I always forget. I think we start here.
I'm 30 seconds. I'll be quick.
Councilman Wright? Councilman Carl Wright.
Can you start the timer?
Promise. In every council packet, there should be a package from Karski. They're the proposal for the new sound system that however you want to put it, want to put in the Franklin Township Middle Bush Park. They'll be at our next council meeting to make a presentation of that new sound system that we want to put in Middle Bush Park, the actual cost of it, and answer any questions that the Township Council has. And the residents get to chime in, say anything they want to say about the proposal, what it should be, what it shouldn't be. So I just want to leave it at that. I wanted the council to be able to look at it before the council meeting, because sometimes we get things at the council meeting and we have to do a quick read. But this will be a long enough period for everybody to come up to speed so that we can make an intelligent decision on the sound system at Middle Bush Park. And that's where I'll end. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bill Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As long as we're on the subject, I'll ask the manager if this could be posted on the website, and since Councilwoman Sherman and I want to do a mailing to the people near the park, so we're sure they're aware of it, if you could, I suggest it's the Township website /Middlebush Sound, and that way we can, rather than trying to instruct them, hit this button or that button, they can directly type in and look at this technical data. And I thank Mr. Wright for doing exactly what he did. It is too often that we get these things at the last minute and can't look at them, so this affords us that opportunity. I'd like to congratulate the mayor on that plaque. That's very impressive. It's quite a proud thing you have. If people were looking, I snuck behind him to take a closer look at it. It's quite a thing. I'd like to re-announce the Canal Walk and Roll on May 18th. Canal Road will be closed from 10 to 4 on that Sunday, so that you can ride your bike, walk your Chihuahua, or roller skate or bike on the road. 400 people came last time. Hope we'll see that many this time. And then going back to fracking, I would like to thank, amongst others, Senators Bateman and Senator Smith, who are on the Environmental Commission. There are 5 people on the committee Thank you. There are 5 people on the committee, and they, 4 of them anyway, including those 2, crossed party lines and recommended that fracking be banned in New Jersey. So I'd like to thank them for their forward thinking on that. Some people seem to like that. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Ted Chase.
Last Saturday was the grand opening of the Bridge Tender's House in Griggstown, right by on the Griggstown Causeway by the canal, as it will be the headquarters of the Millstone Valley Preservation Coalition, who have, of course, succeeded in getting the roads on either side of the Millstone River from Kingston to East Millstone as a national scenic byway. And they also got the grant to rehabilitate the Bridge Tender's House to make it usable as a headquarters and a place where the video on the Millstone Valley can be shown, which was for the first time shown at the grand opening on Saturday. Retired Senator Ray Bateman and his son, current Senator Kip Bateman, spoke about the history of the DNR Canal State Park, which Ray Bateman played along with Franklin resident Lee Bullitt, played major roles in getting the state park there. And the room was full. It was a very successful occasion. I wish more council people had been there. April 12th, the Environmental Commission and Stony Brook Millstone Watershed Association did a cleanup along Seeley's Brook from Easton Avenue up to Petty Road. We collected, there were 32 volunteers who collected 955 pounds of garbage using 81 trash bags. There were also a number of shopping carts from the Stop and Shop recovered, and Arnie Schmidt of the Environmental Commission has suggested having a shopping cart yard, say, in the Franklin Greens apartment. What it looks like is that occasionally residents who have done a lot of shopping make off with a shopping cart to deliver their purchases to their apartment, and then just shove the shopping cart down into the greenery along the brook, which of course is not what Stop and Shop would like to see. So the suggestion has been made, and I don't know who can suggest this to Stop and Shop, that if there were a specific place to return the carts at Franklin Greens, and Stop and Shop could occasionally pick them up from there, or residents might even take a shopping cart in when they're going to the Stop and Shop, and this would avoid losing them in the undergrowth along the brook. So I'm just passing along that suggestion. I thank Mayor Levine for mentioning Rutgers Day, known to those at Cook College as Ag Field Day. Unfortunately, I won't be there because I'll be in South Jersey for a retreat for the trustees of the New Jersey Conservation Foundation. But I think those who go will have a great time. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Yeah, I wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you to the district fire commissioner who came in and taking the time to volunteer and update the GIS. I am in support of that part-time position. I sit on the IT steering committee, and they've made a compelling case, and I think we should have that. So I'm in support of that part of the budget. I also wanted to congratulate our Sierra Leone community. You're very active in our community. We all love you very much. I've never, ever walked in a parade, but I go over there every time and eat the food. You have good food in the park. So I'm lazy, I just don't walk. So thank you for coming, and thank you for being a part of our community. And also, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to congratulate you on your plaque and thank the people that came. It's a thankless job, and I know he was shocked. I could tell how shocked he was that he received that plaque. That was very, very thoughtful of you. Thank you for doing that for him, for our mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's kind of you. Appreciate it. Councilman Rajiv Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to thank Ms. Aviles and Sergeant Aviles and Ms. Diaz-Perez for their service and, of course, the thoughtful gift for the mayor. I know Councilman Kramer, who's a B-52 pilot, is jealous. But we thank you for it and your service. As for Mr. Brown, I am in support of the GIS system, and we've already voted it in once, and hopefully we'll pass it, and that should take care of it. It's something essential, and I think it'll make the township more efficient. As far as Sierra Leone is concerned, I still remember the day your president came, and you're unofficially our embassy of Sierra Leone in America here in Franklin. So we appreciate your and you pretty much blew the whole budget on that visit, the grand dinner you had. So we can understand you having the meeting and the parade next year. But thank you for your contributions to Franklin, and anything we can do to be of help, we're there for you. And as far as the Holocaust is concerned, it's something near and dear to my heart. India went through similar persecution as any other colony did in time, and the British were brutal. In India, they would confiscate your property without any notice. So those were the kinds of persecutions, and of course they jail you for nothing. So those were the kinds of things that happened, and you had no recourse whatsoever. So I can understand what people went through with the Holocaust, and with two grandparents who were active with Mahatma Gandhi in that. I fully sympathize with what happened in the Holocaust. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman James Fasanella.
Yes, I'll start by congratulating you, Mayor. I can see the shock in your face that you were not expecting that. And as we all appreciate your leadership in those ways in our community. And not just thank you for serving. Councilman Prasad beat me to the punch with that one, as I'm sure we all feel. Thanks for picking Franklin to be your home. And moving along, the stream cleaning, thanks to the Environmental Commission, Dr. Chase, for me and all the residents of Franklin, especially the ones who live over by Sealy's. I know you've done that several times. The Environmental Commission has cleaned the area. If there's any groups, I mean, it's not easy to pull off one of these cleanups. There's a lot of planning and the town gets involved. But if there's groups that want to help, I'm sure there's a way the Environmental Commission will utilize your efforts if a group wants to come in and help with a cleanup. Or if you have an area of town that for some reason seems to get a lot of the litter, trash buildup, especially our natural areas or stream areas, please bring it to the attention. Environmental Commission might get mad at me, but I know their goal is to clean as much as Franklin and keep it as clean and beautiful as we can. And it's an ongoing chore. Thank you. Sierra Leone, again, thank you for being part of this community. Councilman Kramer, and I were at I forget the exact nonprofit entity, but a large turnout in the Sierra Leone community last year in a church off Franklin Boulevard in a big hall they have there was fabulous. The community not only gives back to this community, but does a lot for the needs of Sierra Leone, which is a developing country in need of a lot of assistance. And I congratulate the group in Franklin, the community in Franklin, for taking that on. It's not easy. And again, thank you for inviting us to events, and we look forward to whatever events you have this year and next year. The last thing I wanted to say was go out, please, and support. If you can't do it physically with a bicycle, support the Tour de Franklin. I think it's this Sunday. One of their largest fundraisers, and that goes directly to helping residents in Franklin in need. But help out any way you can with that. And one thing I wanted to mention that's on the consent agenda tonight that I didn't want to wait till then. There is a resolution for awarding a bid to pave, if I'm understanding this correctly, New Brunswick Road from JFK Boulevard to DeMont Lane. And I know that's a big concern for not just people in the Fifth Ward that I represent, but people all over town, especially the northern corridor of Franklin, with all the traffic. So that don't know when it will be done, but probably fairly quickly if the bid gets awarded tonight as expected.
Yes.
And that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rosalind Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the councilwoman for the Second Ward, I have all of the relatively new adult communities in the township. There are 4 of them. Canal Walk being the largest. I happen to live in Somerset Run. Working with one of the other adult communities about an emergency evacuation program for their multi-level. There are one-family houses, and then many of them have multi-level apartment buildings or condos. The thought occurred to me that many of these people are handicapped, and in certain instances, people will know that they are and help them, but I thought, well, perhaps I should find out if there's a registry type program that we could put into effect, and I was speaking to the township manager, and not only is there one, but it's on a state level. He did give me the link to it, and it's way too long for me to give it to everybody here tonight, but if you know anyone who is handicapped, and the idea is in an evacuation or in an emergency situation, local officials should know where those people are located so they can be immediately evacuated and helped in these circumstances. So a couple of things. I will certainly keep the adult communities aware. I will also work with one of the officers who works on these things to put a letter, an article in the Franklin Times so all citizens know about this, and also ask if our manager wouldn't mind somewhere, we have to figure out how to post this on our website so people can immediately take advantage of it. So what happens is this is I think a county or a county registry, a state county registry, and they then pass the information on to the local community. So it's very important that that information be known, and maybe people knew it in the past, but new people move in and don't know about it. So we're going to make sure that you are aware of that. I also asked about the potential there is no such thing as an animal registry, but there are, I've seen them, stickers that you put on your window saying there's an animal in the house, so that if there is an evacuation, an emergency, a fire, the police or the firefighter knows there may be an animal in the house. This is hopefully to save the animals and also to save the rescuer from being bitten by a very frightened animal who's been left in the house. So we're just refining things that have probably been around for a while, and we just want to make people aware of them. So you'll be hearing more about that as we get the processes in place. And the only other thing I have to mention is an event coming from the Franklin Township Cultural Arts Council. That is an organization that still is struggling to get the word out that we exist. And we've put on some wonderful programs, and there's a great one coming up on September 20th. We're going to call it the Franklin Day Festival. So Rutgers Day, watch out. Franklin Day is on its way. So we're going to have music, we're going to have children's events, we're going to have craft tables, we'll have vendors. We're still in the planning process for all of this. Anyone who is interested, please reach out to me. My cell phone number is actually up in front of here next to my name, but it's 718-469-6823. I think that's my home number, 718-6942. Sorry. So please reach out to me, and if you'd like to be involved, we'd love to have more people involved in this whole process. But I got off the track. May 4th, there is an event that will be done by our Visual Arts Committee at the library from 1:30 until 3:30, from 1 until 3:30. 1:30 to 3:30. 1 o'clock is the setup. And there'll be some light refreshments, and there'll be an art show. Many people who have submitted their artwork have been chosen to display their art at the library, so it'll be a perspective of all those artists who have been selected, and you'll get to see their work, get to talk to them, and get to talk to us as members of the Arts Council if you have any interest in working with us. So please come. May 4th, it's free, and it should be a lovely event. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Brian Regan.
For the most part, I covered everything in my deputy report, so I'll just say I reaffirm the thanks and congratulations that went on out tonight to everyone, as it was said once and multiple times. So I just really want to reaffirm that also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And for my comments, just once again, Sergeant Aviles, thanks again. That was very kind of you, and to time, effort, and I think that I very appreciate it. The Sierra Leone community, I've been there for your events, be there again. Look forward to building up a few bucks so you can have your parade again. And as Councilman Chase said, the name has changed slightly. It used to be Ag Field Day and the Folk Festival, but I guess they kind of changed that to Rutgers Day. And just to be sure, for the Deputy Mayor, so you think Rutgers is not going to win the Big Ten this year? Is that?
Oh, I'm willing to put money on that. Just tell me how much you're willing to go. Let's see. I don't usually, I have probably $50 on me, and I'm willing to lay that on the line that they will not win the Big Ten.
Okay, just checking that.
In what sport?
Yes.
Was this basketball again?
You name it, they won't win it.
Yukon basketball.
But go RU, even though I'm a St. Peter's University guy.
Because they're winning the Big Ten pretty soon, right?
And that concludes my comments, except to my colleagues, thank you also for the comments you made regarding this for me. I appreciate that. Very kind. So our Township Manager, Mr. Robert Vornlocker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple comments. One, going back to Councilman Chase's comments on the cleanup that took place last weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend, there is another cleanup that's planned in Kingston, along Kingston Rocky Hill Road, by volunteers in the Kingston area. And just to go along with what I had spoken about several meetings ago, and the commitment to use Clean Communities funds and Clean Communities workers to assist in those cleanups, I've asked the township engineer to assign a crew to Kingston on that particular day. Councilman, your good deed in the 5th Ward will be returned with a good deed in the 1st Ward, and they will be cleaning up along Route 518, Copper Mine Road, Old Georgetown Road, and Kingston Rocky Hill Road. So that is something that we will be continuing throughout the spring and summer and fall as we can, and utilize those grant-funded employees and work with the volunteers and also just on their own to clean up our town where it needs to be cleaned up. Second is the comments made by Councilwoman Sherman regarding animals. So the registration of animals it is true, there is no registry for animals. However, if one was interested in alerting emergency personnel to the presence of animals in your home, if you visit www.aspca.org, there is a free pet safety pack available to anyone who fills out the form, and among those things is a decal that you can put on your door that identifies your home as one that has a pet or pets in it. So I certainly would suggest that those who are interested in that visit that website, and they can receive that for free. Thirdly, about 2 months ago, Councilman Kramer came to me and said that he had a group that was interested in doing volunteer work here in Franklin Township. This group was part of the Point Community Church, which holds its services here in the municipal complex at the Villagers Theater. Councilman Kramer arranged for a meeting with me to discuss what that group could do, and they had an interest in helping with the rehabilitation of properties that we own. Initially, we had discussed the possibility of beginning the rehabilitation of the Pleasant Plains Schoolhouse, which is here on our property. However, due to some logistical issues, that wasn't possible. So we kind of brainstormed, and Councilman Kramer and I came up with the idea that we are looking forward to putting the Bunker Hill Environmental Center back into business again, and it was in need of a paint job. And so a group of members from the Point Community Church from as far away as Georgia came here for 2 days last week, and they painted both the interior and exterior of the Bunker Hill Environmental Center as volunteer work for their church, and they plan on continuing that. So certainly I want to thank Councilman Kramer for pointing them in my direction. As you've given me the responsibility to try to do things with less, certainly free is the best price of all, and that labor cost was zero, and they plan on continuing with that volunteerism in the future. So I would like to thank the Point Community Church for that work, and certainly Councilman Kramer for pointing them in my direction.
And Mr. Rob Troutman's the one who contacted me, so he certainly deserves a pat on the back. Did you happen to show them the Dunn farm?
We're working on the Dunn farm, and we're also working perhaps on Tulip Wood. As I said, there were some logistical issues. Obviously, these are old buildings, and old buildings tend to have issues like lead paint and things that have to be dealt with. So as we line them up for their next project, I've already given some instruction to our township engineer to prep those buildings as necessary so they can come in and do that volunteer work.
Thank you.
How about the Gunther Farm stabilizing the house there, which there is grant money for?
And that money is being applied now, and we're now seeking quotes for the work. So that is as well being done. But this work in particular, that they have carpenters and they have people who are skilled craftsmen that come from near and far to do this work, and so we have some plans, and Councilwoman Sherman and I spoke today about some future plans perhaps for the schoolhouse out here in our front yard, which we would certainly like to make useful. So there are some plans on the horizon, and I think that nothing but good can come from this.
Yeah.
So I would just wanted again to thank Point Community Church. That was a wonderful thing they did. So, and that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So now we come to item number 11, council discussion items, of which we do not have any. So we go to item number 12, approval of minutes. Pardon me. The following minutes are presented to the Township Council for approval. The Township Council budget hearing of March 15th, 2012. Township Council budget meeting March 24th, 2014. Township Council work session regular meeting March 25th, 2014. Township Council executive session March 25th, 2014. and the Township Council Work Session Regular Meeting, April 8th, 2014. Is there a motion that the aforesaid minutes be approved as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Woodbury, please poll the council on approval of the minutes.
Councilman Chase? Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan? Not there. Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
They're all over the place.
Okay, motion is carried. We next come to item number 13, approval of the warrants. The warrants are the bills that we pay. Warrants in the amount of $2,636,642.71 on April 22nd, 2014, are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion to pay the warrants as read?
So moved. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on payment of the warrants.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Prasad. Councilman
You
Prasad.
skipped
Prasad, Councilman Prasad, I'm sorry.
Yes.
He doesn't like to pay the warrant.
He's a fiscal conservative. He want to be voting on paying it.
That what?
Okay.
He wasn't here.
Okay. Motion is carried. So next we have item 14. This is a public hearing and adoption of ordinance on second reading. Generally, ordinances go into law after two votes. There's one vote taken, and then usually the next meeting, there's a second vote, and if passed that second time, it goes into law. At that second vote, there's a public hearing where we hear from anyone in the public who wants to speak, but it'll only be on that particular ordinance. So we have two second readings tonight. The first is item 14A on the agenda, ordinance number 4057-14, an ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication from Earl Carson Sr. to Township of Franklin for premises known as Block 35, Lot 1.01. This is on Pleasant Plains Road. This is a fairly standard ordinance, acceptance of a deed dedication. Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication, and a public hearing is in order. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Meeting is open for public hearing on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking on it, please raise your hand.
Seeing no one coming forward, Mayor, I motion we close the public portion of the hearing.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Woodbury, please poll the council on item 14A, ordinance 4057-14, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois? Keep disappearing. Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman? No.
No.
Oh, shit.
Wait.
There's a typo there.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have the second and last of the ordinance hearings. This is 14B on the agenda, ordinance number 4058-14, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, that's from NJSA 40A:4-45.14 for calendar year 2014. This is, again, fairly standard. It's not increasing taxes beyond the cap. It's if extra appropriations are needed in the future, it's because we didn't increase it to the maximum limit. We could tap upon that in the next couple of years. And I don't think we actually have in the past, but this is just in case. So is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking on it, please raise your hand.
Mr. Mayor, upon seeing no one coming forward to make public comment, I make a motion to close the public portion of
Second.
this.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 14B, ordinance 4058-14, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Back. Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We now have two ordinance introductions. The first is 15A on the agenda, ordinance 4059-14, ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. Chapter 46, Personnel Policies, Section 46-12, Medical Insurance Coverage, subsection C, Flexible Spending Accounts, and D, Cash Stipend in lieu of health insurance coverage. Basically, this puts the township in line with state law. Right now, if a couple, both spouses work for the municipality, one gets health insurance and the other is paid a stipend in lieu of not having health coverage. This eliminates that stipend, which is savings to the taxpayer, but the couple still get the same health coverage as they would in any case. Again, puts us in line with how state law works. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing and final adoption on Tuesday, May 13th, 2014, at 7 o'clock p.m. here at the Municipal Complex. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, Ms. Woodbury, please pull the council on item 15B, ordinance 4059-14, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have the second and last of our ordinance introductions. It's item 15B on the agenda, ordinance 4060-14, an ordinance amending the municipal code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. More particularly, Code Chapter 23, Hamilton Street Business Community, Special Improvement District, Code Section 23-10, Hamilton Street Advisory Board, subsection B, terms. Now, this is what we've discussed before, basically the reconfiguration of our Hamilton Street Advisory Board. This sets the term of the board. We've discussed this. The actual appointments are listed to be made later on item number 18. And I guess I'll read this and we'll make a motion. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing and final adoption on Tuesday, May 13th, 2014, at 7 o'clock p.m. here at the Municipal Complex. Deputy Mayor Regan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor and our council members, I just want to make note that due to, there's a minor change that's missing in the terms. So under Section B, terms, where it says that the position shall be for 3 years, it should actually read, the advisory board position shall be for 3 years, except for the U.S. citizen position, which is 1 year, an annual appointment. It's a 1-year term. All the members of the council members on this board, it was just due to the fact the last minute, and someone decided to go to Boston to watch a Yankee game or something. I don't know, didn't get done. So that, I'd like to make that motion, I guess I need a motion to make a change.
Motion to amend it, and then we'll introduce it as amended.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to amend such that it can be introduced in its proper format. And again, it should read under terms where it says the Hamilton Street Advisory Board positions shall be for 3 years, except the one U.S. citizen, which is a 1-year term appointed annually.
Okay, so that's the change.
That is the change.
Okay, that's the motion. Is there a second to that?
Seconded.
You move to second. If no discussion, all in favor of that change, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, that's a minor change on the item. Okay, Deputy Mayor Regan, anything else?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so is
Actually, yes. So I don't know if we can also put it where it says U.S. citizen, because the members of our board, we've also called it an at-large position, so I'd like it to be also referred to, also known as at-large, so that way,
okay.
the wording we're used to calling it is what we'll go with.
Okay, there's no objection, we'll make the change. Either to introduce or Councilman Chase.
I have just a very minor typographical correction in the, really in the existing part of the ordinance where it says non-voting members, 3 members of Franklin Township Council. This should not be an apostrophe in the members, the word members there. I've also emailed Ms. McCarthy about that.
What are we going to do with her?
Okay, and Ms. Woodbury, you'll make the adjustment or pass it on for us, please.
Ms. Woodbury, would you please make a note of that so I can speak with our clerk when she gets back?
Okay, so is
Wish I were there myself.
there discussion or a motion to introduce?
Quick question, Mayor.
Councilman Bastow, please.
Don't have it in front of me, but someone actually had pointed out just literally hours ago. There's a section where we're voting for the where they'll be voting for the officers.
For the members of the advisory board, you mean?
Yeah, but I mean, would they vote for officers within the group, but that...
Like for their own president and vice president?
No.
I'm guessing as a practical matter, they might have to choose a chair. I don't think of that.
Then this
I don't know,
it may be a different
let's
reference.
refer to our township manager for clarification.
Or the attorney.
Or the attorney.
They can adopt bylaws and decide how they want to organize.
So as part of the bylaws, it would be done. Okay.
Okay.
And my understanding, well, not my understanding, I know for a fact that Mr. Dominack is already beginning to work with examples of bylaws for an organization such as this, and then once we have the advisory board in place, that will be one of the first orders of business is to do just that, adopt a set of bylaws.
And also, as a clarification, on Hamilton Street, it's a special improvement district, SID. It's called where the members there pay an extra amount annually, basically an extra tax, which stays on Hamilton Street to improve it and help the businesses. And this is a board that's made up mostly of business owners and property owners on Hamilton Street to determine how best they can utilize the money to attract more business and do well for themselves. So is anything else or a motion to introduce?
Motion to introduce.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Ms. Woodbury, please poll the council on item 15B, ordinance 4060-14 as we've adjusted.
Councilman Chase?
Did you call my name? I thought you said right.
No, I said Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, yes, Councilman Wright, please.
Ms. Woodbury just whispered in my ear that if y'all keep messing with her,
Yeah.
she's not going to come back and do another meeting.
Okay, okay.
So I just want y'all to know.
Duly noted.
All right.
Okay. Everyone is on notice.
Leave Ms. Woodbury alone.
And you're going to enforce that, I think, too, right?
Ms. Woodbury, tell them you're not coming back. That's all the enforcement you need.
Their terms are going to come in January 1st, so it's whenever we appoint them.
Okay.
So if we appoint people now, they're going to have to be reappointed. Oh, okay. Did the solicitations go out?
Okay. I'll tell.
They are?
Oh, we had a meeting last night.
Oh, okay.
This is the consent agenda.
Pardon me, some technical points
Doing something.
we're doing here. Okay, next we have item number 16, 16A through 16O, the consent agenda. Consent agenda are items of a generally routine nature upon which we can vote at one time, and it's any council person's prerogative to take an item off for a separate vote or discussion. So we have items 16A through 16O. They're listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting. They're presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion to adopt or discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, Councilwoman Francois, please.
What's the reason why we're rescinding the contract for number G?
Okay.
Is-
G, rescind our
Mr. Manager?
janitorial service contract.
Poor performance.
For performance? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion or motion for the consent agenda?
Motion for the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on the consent agenda.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Need technical assistance. Need technical point again, excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for bearing with me. Okay, now we come to item number 17, resolutions voted on separately, of which we do not have any. So we have 18, old business, 2014 boards and commission vacancies. Is there a motion for, or nominations for any vacancies?
Mr. Mayor?
Deputy Mayor Regan.
So at this point, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Vornlocker just to take us through tonight, as we talked about earlier. We're going to make the recommendations to council for the appointment to the Hamilton Street Business Community Advisory Board. He'll take us through the overview of how we went about to get to the point where we are, and then he's going to turn it back to me, since it seems I'm the only one that has the notes from the meeting last night, to take...
Put them together in about a 30-second list here.
Yeah, so then I'll come back with the actual list.
Okay, Mr. Vornlocker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So, the decision to move forward with the advisory board was made, I guess, probably about a month and a half or 2 months ago by council with the adoption of the amended ordinance. As a result of that ordinance amendment, our zoning official and our planner went out on a field trip along Hamilton Street, along with mailings to all of the businesses and property owners. They walked both sides of Hamilton Street and distributed applications of interest for the advisory board. 15 applications were received by the township for those positions. Because of the makeup of the board, we are unable to fill one position as we're here tonight, and that is the resident There are two residents who are not business owners, but are just physically residents of the Hamilton Street Improvement District. We are able to fill one of those positions based on applications that were submitted. However, we did not receive at least two resident applications, so we will continue to solicit for that particular position. However, there was sufficient number of applicants to fill all of the other positions as defined in the ordinance amendment. There was a meeting held last night of the ad hoc committee that had been formed to look at this situation. All four, all four council members were present to discuss this. It was discussed at length as to who would be appointed and recommended to council to be appointed. And I believe that that is what the deputy mayor is speaking about. That's he will be making the nominations, and there will be the discussion now to appoint this board. I've spoken with Mr. Dominack after the meeting yesterday, and we are scheduling as soon as possible a date for the board to meet to begin, as I just discussed, the bylaws and to get moving, so to speak. So that is kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, if I make a quick interjection first?
Feel free.
Thank you. I think all of us probably agreed that most, if not all, the applicants were worthy, but we're limited by how many. We tried to make it a good mixture, and if anyone is not actually on this board, the board can form its own subcommittees, their public meetings, anyone could be involved in any way he or she chooses. And Councilman Chase, then we'll come to you.
I just wanted to ask, how can we make appointments tonight when we've only just introduced the ordinance specifying the terms?
I had that question myself. You guys had an answer.
So I thought in the discussion that we talked about this earlier was that we'd be able to make the appointments tonight, and with the first meeting could then be after the formal effect of the ordinance being. That was the assumption that we were on, that we could do that.
The only thing I could say is you can make the appointment. Technically, Councilman Chase is correct. I mean, we do have an ordinance in place, Councilman, that's already established a committee. All we're doing is amending the ordinance to establish the terms. So, in my opinion, you've already established a position, so you can make the appointments, and I would just make them the terms subject to the adoption of the ordinance.
Okay.
But we already do have an ordinance in place creating this board.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Ms. Raymond, so
Councilman
we
Vestal.
might understand, because I asked a question last night, we can make the appointments, but we're not going to make the terms. We're not going to dictate the terms tonight, but we're going to make the appointments?
No, I would make I would just make,
Okay.
I would make them for the terms in question, and then I would just make it subject to the adoption of the ordinance.
That's okay. So the actual terms be
Yeah.
official on the adoption, but we definitely can
Okay.
make the appointments. Great.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. Others? Not. Deputy Mayor Regan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just following up on the mayor's comments relative to the many qualified applications we received, again, since it serves as an advisory board, that will be a public meeting. So certainly, everyone who applied, and if they are not appointed to the advisory board, you can attend the advisory board meetings, since it will be a public meeting. So there's nothing to limit your participation in the meeting if you are not chosen as an advisory board member itself. The purpose of this is to ensure that there's input from that area, and whether you're on the advisory board or not, you can certainly attend those meetings as we schedule and communicate them, or advertise them. So there are, in the ordinance, we talk about there's a property owner, a business owner, a resident, and one that we talked about tonight, a U.S. citizen / at-large. All of them based upon the assumption that the term ordinance will be, that we introduced tonight will be ratified at the next meeting, are for 3 years, except for the at-large U.S. citizen position, which is going to be a 1-year term appointed annually by council. That role is meant to serve as a special needs position based upon the need of the advisory board in the phase that it's in. Just because the person being appointed tonight to it, there's no sense of that appointment will reoccur year after year. It really is about the role or the phase we are in relative to the Hamilton Street Business Community Advisory Board and the needs of the advisory board. So I'll start. And also, per the ordinance we introduced tonight, because we want to have a rolling membership and not have everyone come off or half come off, we're going to have 4 appointments for 1 year, 4 at 2 years, and 3 at 3 years. Now, the 4 1-year, with the one position that will not be filled on that 4 1-year is the resident, because as Mr. Von Locker indicated before, we didn't have, in all the receiving of the applications, we didn't have the right mapping to put someone in. We did place the one person who fell into the resident category in the 2-year term because they were here, they'll be on board 2 years, and this gives us time to find someone to fill that 1-year resident. So the recommendation for the 4 1-year terms is for the one property owner is Dean Addy. The one business owner is Mike Giannato. As I indicated, the resident is a to be determined. And the one at-large U.S. citizen is James Ye. Okay. So for the 4 2-year terms, the one property owner is Timothy Kelly. The 2 business owners are Vincent Pecci and Dr. Andrea Barrett. And the one resident serving the 2 years is Pat Giannato. For the remaining 3 slots at 3-year terms, the 2 property owners are Ed Chandler and Remni Onishiel. Hopefully I said that name right. And the one business owner is Geneva Hall. So those are the applicants that is the recommendation out of the 4 council members, along with Mr. Von Locker and the staff members, that recommendation came from. Just to be clear, because there was discussion with the staff members, but the recommendations actually come from the 4 council people.
So those are nominations then?
Those are the nominations for those positions.
Okay, so is there any discussion for other, Councilman Vasanella?
Yeah, there's just one spot that I had expressed my concern last night to the group when the dust settled, so to speak, and we were left with the list. And I know there was a couple of people had to go off to another meeting, and I guess Deputy Mayor was making notes and whatnot, but I had expressed it at the end of that, and upon further thought, relate my feelings to some of the members today. And I just want to be clear here, as it was stated, all the people, including the ones that don't get appointed, can be involved and may very well be members in the future. That being said, the one property owner, Dean Addy, I believe, don't know him, heard great things about him. Know he owns some properties on Hamilton Street, and I think, I forget exactly how it came about, but he applied. I have no problem with him being involved, although Mr. Arthur Latanzio, who I have no business with, not even in the same political party, but he seriously, he has worked with the board the last couple of years and through a lot of these issues. I worked with him on the site building plan review committee, which was really important. It'll be very important going forward. So my concern simply is, those of you who don't know, and I don't want to go down the whole laundry list, his family has been involved in this town for generations and invested in Hamilton Street when very few people were investing. And I definitely don't see the eye with him on every issue, but I think at least for this initial period, he is well-deserving, and I just ask council take a serious consideration that possibly consider him in place of Dean Addy. If any council people have any questions, feel free to ask, but that otherwise, I think the choices are fantastic, and I'd like to move forward as soon as possible. So I don't know if we could separate that out, or I just put it as a separate nomination. But Mr. Raynon, whatever way's easiest and clearest, but I
think the easiest way to do it is to take a vote on all of the others but that one, and then take a vote on that one. I think that's the simplest way to do it.
Great.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. And did anybody have any?
But which one are you recommending him for? The 1-year term, 2-year term, 3-year term?
Whatever
You're recommending him for whatever position Mr. Addy is. You want him instead of Mr. Addy.
Yes, and again, it's not an issue with Mr. Addy.
Sure.
It's
Right.
just
That's a 1-year term for a property owner.
Okay, so we're going to separate that one out. We're going to take a vote on all of the others in which there are no contests, and we can actually do that by a voice vote, and then we can do a roll call on that one.
That's great. And that is a 1-year term, too, to remind council. So,
Okay.
it can always be transitioned to a new person, like Mr. Addy, in a year from now, if desired.
Are there any other people for
Councilman.
1-year terms for property owner? Or is that's the only,
That's
those are the only
the
two
only
people
one
up for
in that
Okay,
category.
fine.
Correct.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor?
So.
Yes,
Go ahead, Mr. Attorney.
Deputy Mayor Regan, or?
I was-
Mr.
No,
Raynon?
I just think that,
Clarify on-
Mayor, I think that if you can just call for a voice vote on the ones that are uncontested, and then we can do a roll call on the other.
I second both motions.
Okay, any other nominations or discussion before we do that? Okay, so as was suggested, very good, we're going to split it. It's going to be everyone except for that 1-year property owner position.
Correct.
Okay, so if no other discussion, all in favor of the everyone else, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Okay, so now we have that one position. It's a 1-year property owner, and then everything's going to be 3 years. We're just staggering it the first time. So the nominations are Mr. Addy and Mr.
Mr. Latanzio.
Correct.
Okay.
And Mayor, I'm not going to read it, but there were letters, I don't know if all council or just the 4 of us on the ad hoc committee got them, but there is a detailed letter that capsulizes Mr. Latanzio's desire and service to date, much better than I could explain it. And the one thing I do want to add is the 2 ends of the district, which are really significant. I believe they have significant properties in both that they, like I said, been investing a lot of money way back when a lot of people weren't. So that's all.
Okay.
See where it
Mr. Mayor.
goes.
Yes, Councilwoman Sherman.
I obviously would like to vote, and I would like to vote with some intelligent information. I know Mr. Latanzio to some degree. I don't know the other gentleman, and I'm wondering whether somebody could provide some background so I can understand the qualifications of this other gentleman.
Well, what was said at the I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah,
Well,
good.
Go ahead.
The application
Mayor?
is on, so Councilman Wright?
Yeah.
Because I know that Councilman Wright had more history of Dean Addy, if you wanted to. Councilwoman Sherman just wanted a brief overview of Dean Addy's qualifications
Right.
in his application.
I believe it came from originally, I just see Mr. Wright jump in, the application came, I believe I'm sorry, Mr. Dominic Mr. Dominic and Mr. Healy, as they went delivering the notices and trying to get this thing moving, had reached out to suggest to Mr. Addy he should consider getting involved, is what I was told. I have the letter from Mr. Latanzio. I have the application, which is just very name, address, I want to serve. You know, the community service application, and he may very well have written, there's one here that has a sentence about why they want to serve. We asked everybody, by the way, to fill out an interest statement, and they were very great. They came back and a lot of stuff was said. But again, this isn't signed. I'm not sure if this is Mr. Addy's, but it's just one sentence.
Okay, Councilman Chase?
Yeah, I just trying to look at what we have on our iPads from Mr. Addy. There was just the first page of the application, which is just, name and address and no further material. So I was really concerned about voting for him. Now, maybe this is just some
Well, I know he's new.
work of the system, but
Yeah, again, I know he's new to this.
anything there.
I'm sorry to interrupt Councilman Chase, but again, and I could be wrong, but I think our zoning officers is very involved with this. We were thinking of people we wanted to reach out and encourage to get involved. I believe send them the info, we all don't encourage, not just Mr. Dominic. But that's what I was talking, because I'm familiar with him here, and again, nothing against, I just think for sure it makes sense for Mr. Latanzio, but I'm not going to say nothing else. Whoops, and whatever they want to do.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay, Councilman Wright
if I
and Mr.
can.
Vornlocker?
Oh, I was just going to say that, Mr. Vornlocker, you Township Manager, go ahead. I mean, you're a big guy, go ahead.
Thank you. No, I think the issue with Mr. Addy was that the overwhelming majority of the recommended appointments by council for these advisory board positions are people who have been, in truth, long involved with Hamilton Street. And Mr. Addy comes as perhaps new blood, and that was where Mr. Dominic's position was. Mr. Addy currently owns at least 4 properties along Hamilton Street that he is in the process of rehabilitating as part of the revitalization of Hamilton Street, and someone who has made a sizable investment recently in Hamilton Street and in the situation that it's in. I think that's where Mr. Dominic's conversations with Mr. Addy are that his plans are to become a longtime member of the Hamilton Street community, but he has now made, like I said, a sizable investment recently in the area. Excuse me, Councilman?
Is the Somerset Inn one of them?
It is, Somerset Inn is not, but it is at that end of Hamilton Street that he has acquired properties in between Hawthorne Drive and Highland Avenue in that block that is including the Somerset Inn, but there are currently at least 4 properties that he's in the process of working with the township to rehabilitate. So that was, I think, the reason why we looked to Mr. Addy as a potential member of this advisory board.
If I can also put in part of the, just a sentence, part of the deliberations were to have people who in the past had different philosophies, people have been involved, some new people, just like a whole mix of all different kinds of people to be on there to come up with the ideas. Pardon me, Councilman Wright, then Councilman Kramer.
I thank the Township Manager because we were about to go down the same road, so I'm glad I deferred to him. That's one of the reasons why I liked Mr. Addy, because he did bring new blood, and as a viable member of Hamilton Street Business District, by owning all these buildings, I thought he would be a welcome addition. Now, true, there are only so many positions that we can have, and it's only for a one-year position beginning, so my move was to have him on that board. At that meeting, we all went down the road, including Councilman Vassanella, who was on the telephone. He was not present. But we all looked at it and decided that because he was a big-time, owner of property, that we would give him a shot. And that's why we're doing this. If he's going to spend money on Hamilton Street, I got to have him on board.
Excuse me,
Yeah, Councilman Kramer.
who are the people making the recommendation?
I guess the majority, the committee was me, Deputy Mayor Regan, Councilman Wright, Councilman Vasanella.
Okay, was Mr. Dominic involved with?
Mr. Dominic and
Mark Healy.
And our town manager were in the room helping us facilitate and fleshing it out with us.
Okay.
No, technically, it's the council recommendation, but they were certainly
Okay, thank you.
giving us insight.
Yeah, Mayor, just
wanna call for the vote?
sake of Councilman Ray, just because I think he had to run off to redevelopment meeting, understandably. But we had, when the dust settled and we read off the list, and I think none of us, like was said many times, have an issue with anybody, but when the dust settled and realized that Mr. Latanzio was excluded, it was quickly conversed about, so it wasn't, this just didn't pop up the last hour or two, just because I know you had to run off to another important meeting, so.
Okay, so we can go to the vote? I mean,
Hey, it's, I don't have any qualified people.
unless someone doesn't want to?
No, none.
If nothing
Go ahead,
else?
Mayor.
Okay, so, and I'll just make one more comment. Again, both people are qualified, there's certain mixture of people, and that's how I came along with my recommendation, too. So if nothing else, please poll the council, Ms. Woodbury, and the vote will be for the one-year term for a property owner. Again, anyone else who's not technically on the board can certainly be involved in another capacity. So the vote will be for Mr. Dean Addy or Mr. Latanzio. Okay. And please poll the council.
Councilman Chase?
Excuse me 1 second.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Could you restate that motion again?
Well,
It's Addy or Latanzio?
Yeah.
Oh, so you just, okay, I just
Say
want to
which
make sure.
one you want. Yeah.
Pardon me, I should have been clearer.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for the one-year term for a property owner, Mr. Addy or Mr. Latanzio, we vote for either one.
Just wanted to make sure, thank you. Sorry about that, Councilman Chase.
Councilman Chase?
After the explanation, Adi.
Councilwoman Francois?
I'm going to go with the recommendation of the committee, Addie.
Councilman Kramer?
Addy.
Mayor Levine?
Mr. Addy.
Councilman Prasad?
Eddie,
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Mr. Addy.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Addy.
Councilman Vasanella?
Latanzio.
Councilman Wright?
Addy.
Okay, Mr. Addy is the board member. Personally appreciate the debate and discussion on that. Very good. So that concludes that. We'll inform those people as is proper. We come to item 19, executive session. After the executive sessions are adjournment. Executive session is where the council meets in private. There's only certain times we can do that, such as personnel matters, contract negotiations, attorney-client privilege. When the subject of that executive session no longer needs to be private, the minutes of those executive sessions will be made public. So we have Resolution 14-215 to authorize an executive session, and two items. One is contract negotiations, white-collar clerical, and the second, open space acquisition offer, the Walker property. These items in Resolution 14-215 are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion for the resolution?
so moved.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Woodbury, please poll the council on the resolution for executive session, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, motion is carried. We'll now go into executive session, like I said. After we come out of executive session, we'll only have two pieces of business. Number one, we will vote to come out of executive session, and number two, we will vote to adjourn. So because that's all going to happen, we'll end our taping now. As I said, happy Earth Day for today, happy Mother's Day, and be well.